everyone. Today I'm joined with Hailey, my amazingly beautiful guest, Divine Awakening. How are you, Hailey?
I'm very well, thank you, Manny. Hope you're well too.
And we got in touch with each other on TikTok, and you are a tarot reader and psychic. And you gave me some advice, which was very, very well received, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
I've been meeting my shaman, but we live in the same city, don't we?
Yes, we do. We do, not far from each other, which is,
Yeah. And
yeah.
you're also a twin flame, but you're in union as well. So I'm very excited about this interview today. And you might have to speak loud because I think the audio is slightly problematic. But
Okay,
yeah,
I will do. Can you hear me okay?
yeah,
Yeah,
just
brilliant.
just
Okay.
belt it at the top of your lungs. Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about your background first and your and an introduction to yourself. So who are you and
Yeah, so my name's Hayley and I'm 52 from Birmingham. So I do readings, collective readings on TikTok at the moment for twin flames and soulmates as well. So I do a lot of collective readings. Well, I do one-to-ones as well.
and I want to know more about these readings because collective readings, whether they're actually useful, do they help us all? And like when you're on the twin flame journey, you get a little bit obsessed with them. And I've had one-to-one readings with you, and they're so accurate. So do you think one-to-one is better or collective is good as well?
So it just depends on where you are on the journey. Obviously, everybody's at different stages. So it does, for those who come across that reading, it is obviously meant for them. So as you know, when you go down to your For You page, the one that will stand out to you or comes across your page is what you're meant to hear at that time.
And you're going to do a nice collective reading for us at the end to find
Yes.
out where we're at on the twin flame journey,
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm so excited about that. So what's
Well,
your social media handles? How can we find you?
so I'm on TikTok at Twin Soul Connections.
Twin Soul Connections.
Yeah.
And then all your like links and emails and how to book a session is there as well.
Yeah. So if you just send me a message on there, and then obviously I'll message you back with a time that's suitable. So yeah, I can do it that way.
And I really recommend you, and like I've recommended someone else before, but the people I recommend are someone I've always gone through. Like I've never
Yeah,
recommended someone I've never worked with, and I've worked with you quite a few times, and it's always been on point.
brilliant. That's good to hear, Annie.
And it's always helpful because you
Brilliant.
also coach people because you're in union, and
Yeah,
because you're psychic as well. You kind of like help people with where they're at as well, and I think it's very valuable.
yeah, yeah. And it's just nice to be able to help others as well that are on the journey to help them cope with it a bit better. Because I do know a lot of people are still sort of stuck as well, aren't they?
And we are going to talk about your twin flame journey because you've only known
Okay.
your twin flame a year and a half, but you've gone into union because you're so
Yeah,
connected in knowing what to do. And that's something we need to learn from. So let's
yeah.
go into your background first. So, where were you, like, were you born in Birmingham? What's your ethnicity and all that stuff?
Yeah. So obviously my parents are both Indian, and I was born in the UK. So I've been sorry, excuse me, in Birmingham all my life.
And
Um,
how was your like upbringing? And because a lot of twin flames go through quite a bit of stuff. And did you have to?
so with the upbringing, I found obviously we've been from Indian origin as well. You're probably the same. Like supposed to be quite sort of close knit families and stuff, but within ours, was never really shown any love. So there was sort of issues of abandonment and stuff. So as you know, you end up sort of on these journeys because you're known as the black sheep of the family, aren't you? Really. So, but it's all part of this journey, isn't it?
So were
Yeah,
you different to the rest of your family members?
yeah, yeah, definitely. So
In
no
which
matter what
way?
you've done, right or wrong, it was always wrong.
Did
Um,
you always have your gifts as well, psychic gifts?
I did. I always used to have that feeling back then as well of that knowing, but just didn't know how to use it or progress with it. So yeah, there was a few things I used to say to people, and they go, "How do you know that?" And I didn't even know where it was coming from. It was just like something that would come on the spur of the moment. But
So do you see things, hear things, feel things? How do you get your guidance?
I will get more. It's mine's more of a clear cognizance, where it's more of a knowing, and then sometimes if I am sort of doing mediumship, I do get sort of visions as well.
So mediums are those who speak with the spirit world, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
also dead people, but also spirit guides. So you see them or you feel
Yes,
them.
I can feel my spirit guides, and more so in my meditations, I'll connect with them. But they are there to guide me more so on this journey.
I've heard that twin flames have more spirit guides than non-twin flames. Is that true?
No, because like as you're progressing on the journey, you'll have like quite a few different spirit guides. So some will come in to teach you philosophy, some will teach you to come in to show you the knowing or the hearing. So like you've got different stages. So mine are at the moment. So I've got spirit animals um, as well as like a couple of other guides that I've connected with. So, but yeah, there's more to come.
And does
I
your
know
twin
that.
does your twin flame have the same ability then, or the ability to tap into that?
He's actually starting to get quite good with his intuition. So yeah, so like I say, they do catch up with us on their spiritual journey a lot quicker than what we've got to.
So do they also get the same gifts that the divine feminine has?
Yeah, they do.
I remember you've talked about that the divine feminine has it often harder, and the divine masculine's a little bit easy. Do you what do you want to say about that?
Yeah, I think because obviously a lot of the times the masculine isn't aware of what's happening. They're really unsure. They know they've obviously met somebody in the 3D and they've got more of a connection, but they're not aware of like the twin flames and their obsession's not as much as what the feminines are. But obviously, whereas we've looked into it a lot more, and because we've awakened a lot quicker than what they had all like a few years prior, we're more aware of what's happening.
So why does the feminine go through more then?
It's because we're having to do our healing. So as well as us doing our healing, it's actually healing them as well. Because don't forget, you are them and they are you. So it's the same, chakra system that we are sharing and the same energetic field of it. So it's everything you're doing is helping them as well.
So what is their purpose and what is ours then? If we're doing most of the inner work, or like we're suffering more, what are they there for?
We make it so our suffering because of how we handle it, but it's actually, it's more for us the fact that it's our own spiritual awakening and we should be focused more on ourselves. So this is all about us and putting ourselves on that pedestal rather than them.
And what is
And
their role then?
so their role is to actually heal and to catch up to where we are on this spiritual journey.
And do they usually start off a bit further back than us then? Are we further ahead?
Yeah, we're a lot further ahead than what they are. So I'd say like my spiritual journey sort of started, oh God, I'd say around about 2020,
What
mine did.
happened?
So I went through a lot of losses back then. And also, losing my mom. So I went through another awakening then. And also, I had another awakening once, like my little dog passed away because she was like my little soulmate. And then when I met my counterpart now, you do go through another awakening, which is then taking you further into your healing. So every time it's like you'll go through different stages of awakenings. Like my first one, I went vegan for 6 years. So I
Do
went
you
off
do you
meat.
recommend that twin flames are vegetarian or vegan, or can they?
I think along the journey you'll just be guided where you need to be for whatever sort of reason. So you've got to just start obviously with a lot of meditation to start. closing your mind, because obviously we're quite a lot in our head. So whereas if you're clearing your head with meditation, you're listening to your inner self a lot more. You're listening to your body a lot more. But you'll also find there's things that you can't tolerate anymore. So along the journey, you'll have quite a
I
bit
mean,
of
I
that.
have a gluten intolerance, celiacs. I mean, I don't know if that's spiritually related.
See, because mine's the same as well. So I'm not celiac, but I've got sensitivity to wheat as well, and dairy and sugar.
And is that to
So
do with the spiritual awakening, or?
yeah, definitely, definitely, because it's all about taking away what's not serving us anymore.
And what is
Mm.
an awakening then? So what happened? You said you had three of them. What
Yeah.
is it?
So the first time you will go through like sort of more so through the dark night of the soul, as they call it, where you do hit depression and you hit rock bottom. So through going through that, you realise the only way is up, and nothing can actually keep you down there. And it's all about sort of learning to get stronger in everything you're doing.
And some twin flames don't make it, I hear, and some like
Mm.
commit, suicide.
And yeah,
So
it's a
it can be
shame.
hard, can't it? Very
Yeah,
hard.
it can. See, when I felt that low, I did sort of reach out to people. I went and I started off having cranial sacral therapy,
What's that?
which was amazing. So basically, it's just again working with energies, and it's like movements of your sort of starting from your sort of head down to your bottom of your spine. So it's just keeping you in alignment, and it was absolutely fantastic for me.
Is that an energetic healing or a physical movement?
It is a physical movement that you will do, so as well as working with energy as well.
So that was your
Mm.
first awakening, and then that when you first started tapping into spirituality because you already had your gifts.
Yeah, I did. No, it wasn't actually then. That particular one, I sort of, I started sort of going through more sort of learning about Dark Night of the Souls, and learning about the journey. And then I went off certain foods. I went off meat completely at that particular time, and then that's when I ended up going vegan the first time. So that was about 6 years being vegan, and then my second sort of awakening was when Mum passed away, and I was smoking as well. Then that time I went off cigarettes completely.
So does that happen for the divine masculine as well? Because like you hear twin flames and they're saying, "Oh, he's addicted to this or that." Does that all go away for them as well as they heal?
Yes, it does. Yeah,
And then your
yeah.
third awakening, you says when you met your twin flame. So let's talk about meeting your twin. How did you meet your twin? Did you know about it before?
No, I didn't. I didn't. When we met, obviously, it was sort of a trigger, so to say.
Did you
So
meet
that's what.
face to face on the street or was it online or?
No, we actually met online, and we chatted for a good sort of 6 to 8 weeks before we did meet. But then I knew instantly that the connection was there. And then when we did
Did he
meet,
know as well?
yes, he did. Yeah, yeah.
And then the triggers, when did
So
they?
the triggers have started obviously once we go into separation. But I knew and I do love the phrase that Yaya uses, because it's absolutely apt for it, because separation is preparation, and it was all about
So that's Yaya Pandu from TikTok, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it's spot on, because you can't sort of see it as a separation, because you are them, like I said, and this is where people have got to always remember, whatever you're feeling, whatever that intuition of yours is, and that's what it's telling you, that you are going to be with that person. You've got to sort of really go within rather than looking on the outside.
Because some people stay in that cycle of obsession and divine timing and they don't do the work, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's backtrack a little bit. So you met your twin flame online,
yeah.
and I don't know, did he message or you message first?
I think he had messaged first, and the funny thing was because apparently we had sort of like matched about 6 months prior, but I just came off social, off the social platforms, and so yeah, so we ended up sort of matching again. Then he messaged and said, "I'm sure we like you guess we matched like 6 months ago, and you disappeared." And so yeah, so we just got chatting, and then by
Was he your typical like type of person?
I don't really go for types. I do like to have a connection with somebody rather than sort of looks. It just depends on how we get on.
Yeah.
But just even via texts, we got on, and I just felt that there was something there straight away.
Was the energy like really profound, very atomic, or flowing? Was there like humor? Like, how did you know it was different?
It was just flowing, and it was just that feeling of knowing him already.
Because people
Mm.
ask about like, how do I know it's my twin flame? It's not a karmic.
Yeah.
So let's talk about when you first met, and then through the
Mm.
journey that you're going to explain, if you can
Mm.
uncover that the key points that made you realize, oh, this is how did you realize he's twin flame?
Yeah, I again, you'd like to say you go through that obsession stage, and you're like, hang on a minute, why can't I get this person off my head? Because normally 3 months down the line, you're sort of forgotten about them, and I'm like, hang on, what's going on here? Then it was things that just kept coming up. Kept seeing like signs for twin flames, and that's when I started looking into what twin flames were, and I was like, okay, this is starting to make a lot of sense now. Um,
What caused your separation first time?
so basically, we was getting on great. There wasn't no problem between us as such, but he'd gone through a lot of grief. So he'd lost his parents. So um, I think with that, just had to go through his own healing. And obviously, me being through it myself, I knew it was like just best to leave him to have the space that he needed.
And so
Mm.
then you had the separation. Was it like discussed, or was it like I need some space, or was it just natural? It just happened.
No, it was discussed. We hadn't fallen out. There was no arguments or anything like that. And I think I just like gave him that respect to go, well, I've been there and I know that's what you've got to go through.
And did you keep in touch during the separation period? And how was it? You said obsession, and what was going on?
Yeah, we did at the beginning for the first 2 to 3 months. We sort of stayed in touch, and then it was getting lesser and lesser. So I thought, you know what, just leave 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 it be. If it's meant to be, it will be. And that was sort of my attitude with
And
it.
was your psychic powers or your tarot reading skills helping you to guide the separation for you?
Yeah, it was. But then I was getting more obsessive with the readings, and I was like, okay, I need to stop doing them because it's a journey by itself. And I thought I need to start sort of going and trusting my own intuition more. So, and that's what I started to do for myself rather than picking up the cards.
Were you having all the
Mm.
dreams, the telepathy, the 5D stuff going on? Was that all happening?
Um, at the beginning, when I was getting the dreams, there wasn't so much like the telepathy of it because it depends on
The couple?
depends what yeah. So it depends on whether they're sort of quite clear headed, and I think with our situation was, it wasn't sort
Yeah.
of there really. Mm.
It's interesting because all twin flames have their own sort of unique sort of gifts that play. So
Mm.
you had your separation, and then what inner work? Because you said that you wanted to like focus on your journey and stuff. So what did you do?
Yeah, so with myself, obviously, it's not just your counterpart that's going to give you triggers, it's friends as well.
It's
So
everything, yeah.
yeah, so anybody that's coming into your life, it's to show you something and to trigger you to know that you've still got that healing to do. Whereas a lot of see, there's too much focus on the label, whereas you've got to really sort of go within and go, actually, why is this still triggering me? Why is this still happening in my life? Why am I still meeting these sort of people that are sort of doing this to me? So one of mine was like the betrayal sort of thing, and I thought, okay, I've got to still work on that.
So do you think that when you're a twin flame, that then you get more triggers from people to push you further on your healing?
Yeah, definitely.
And the
Yeah.
divine masculine also gets the same.
I think I think once you come into union, like now, they'll realise, okay, I need to do this. I need to, because obviously they're at the start of their journey.
So what were you doing in your journey during that separation?
So mine, I was just living life for me, and I was just absolutely like doing everything I love doing. I love going on holiday, and I really sort of, done that. And for the first time, I went solo traveling as well, and it was great, and it was meant to be because on the holiday that I did go on, I met three girls, and it was really bizarre that they were all twin flames as well, and it was yeah, so we were all linked. And then one day I was out and I was like, went to go and do an excursion with one of the girls. And I went, oh, God, I can't get away from these synchronicities. I said, 0904. And I was like, she went, oh, it's his birthday, 9th of April. Then I went, yeah. She goes, oh, I might twin flames this. And I was like, okay. So, but you'll still see all these synchronicities and it will guide you to say you're on the right path and it is correct and it is where you're meant to be.
It's so interesting because I was working with a client this morning and their twin flame's birthday is the same day as my dad. And then I
Yeah,
worked with someone else and her daughter's same as mine. And then another twin flame in union, their their birthdays relate to mine and my twin flame's birthday. It's so weird. And you're talking about travel. I also love travel too. And I don't know if you watched the BBC series called Race Across the World. Absolutely
no,
love
I
it. You
haven't
go
seen that.
backpacking with your
Really?
partner and see the world.
Oh,
You
wow.
do travel a lot. I noticed that. I get a lot of twin flames saying to me they're all alone. They don't have anyone to talk to about twin flames, but you met them just by being out and about, and you
Um,
contacted me as well. And I also meet people at restaurants, supermarkets, train, plane, bus who are twin flames. So,
yeah. And you
ha-
will on this journey because like your vibrations matches, so they'll instantly be magnetized to you.
so
So
what about those ones who are saying they're not meeting anyone? What?
It's because I found I had to go through my own time as well. So as soon as I've like sat with myself and done healing, and then you start raising your vibration, and all of a sudden they're just coming to you. Yeah.
Okay, and so then you're in your separation, you were traveling a lot. What was happening to your counterpart, your divine masculine, during the separation?
So he was just going through his own healing, and he knew that what he had to sort of do. He felt that he didn't want to drag me down. It was part of his healing.
So he was protecting you.
Yeah, yeah.
And then was there any running and chasing happening during the separation?
I'd say at the beginning, I was like, sort of like, what's going on? Like, how can this be? But then at the same time, I did sort of know what he was going through, and it was for me to go, do you know what? He's got to go through this like I did. I didn't have any help from anybody because I knew I had to go alone and do it on my own.
And it's interesting. I made one or two videos about, first of
Mm.
all, about your twin flame is often living the life that you wanted to do, maybe in distortion, but also another one which is poignant, which is like they're going through the stuff that you may have gone through before or you have
Yeah,
done before. And I know some people are like, oh, I've never been like that. I've never been sleeping around or doing this and that and the other. And I mentioned that for me, when I had my really dark times, I did sleep around, take some drugs,
yeah,
drink some alcohol, was a bit crazy. And then I sorted
mm,
myself out. And you mentioned that you went through bereavement and grieving and your twin
yeah,
flame mirrored it. So do you
yeah.
believe that like the divine feminine often has already gone through that, what they're going to go through later.
Yeah. So I like I said to you when we had that conversation. So before I met my counterpart, I used to sort of go out drinking and stuff. But when I met him, it was like, and after the sort of separation, it was like I started going off the alcohol, and I was like, okay, and it wasn't actually agreeing with my body anymore because I've got fibromyalgia as well. So it was actually flaring that up. And I was like, okay, I'm understanding and listening to my body more. So that was my next thing to sort of come away from. But then, like my counterpart, he doesn't drink either. So all of a sudden, I was like, okay, so now we're sort of starting to mirror each other with similar things here as well.
So you start to merge as one, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
So if one
Mm.
kind of takes on a healthy, conscious lifestyle, the other does. One becomes celibate, the other does, unless
Yeah,
there's any sort of like lesson to learn. So then,
yeah.
how did the union happen? Because that's what we all want to know.
Yeah, okay. So, obviously, I know a lot of coaches do say don't sort of reach out or anything, but it was over Christmas, and I did, but not in an obsessive. I didn't come from a place of want or need,
Okay.
but it was just to say like Merry Christmas, and that was it. But I wasn't expecting him to sort of message back or anything like that because I think I'd got to that place of surrender, which is where you've got to get to. So through your healing, you've got to you've got to be you. You've got to be the better version of you, and sort of the only way I can sort of describe it is you found you where you hold your own.
So, and
You,
surrender takes time, doesn't it, as well?
yeah, it does. And you know you've got there because you don't need anything from anybody. You're sort of at that place where you're
Peace.
so content with yourself.
So you messaged him Merry Christmas and
Yeah. So yeah, so a couple of weeks later, no, he did reply back to say Merry Christmas, and that was that. And then in the new year, I had a message. So how you doing? So and then it started from there. Really.
so you've been on the journey for a year and a half and you are
Yeah.
regularly meeting your twin flame. And so because in the separation you were understanding and he was doing his grieving like and inner work sort of thing,
Yeah.
like some divine masculines do horrific things to the feminine.
Yeah.
And you can say in separation you're not together so they can do whatever they want, but sometimes you
Mhm.
communicate with the divine masculine and he rebels or he reprimands. He can be very aggressive or nasty or do stupid stuff that kind of really shatter and destroy like the trust as well.
Mhm.
But with
Mhm.
yours it was like more, I think, more respectful. So
Yeah.
but when he did return and you do meet up, there's a need to like balance the
Yeah.
energies. So how do you do
Yeah.
that?
So it's just respecting each other, and I found that on this journey as well. When you do come back into uni, you talk better. You're more open with each other.
What
You
has
know.
he said to you?
Sorry, say that again.
What has the divine masculine said to you about how he was feeling throughout all that time?
He said he knew that I was the one for him, but he just didn't want to. He wanted to be in the right place to come back, but he didn't know if I'd met somebody else or moved on. So he wanted to be respectful in that sense as well.
So they kind of like know that they're not ready, so they want to get ready to come back. But does that mean that they want to be fully like,
Heal.
healed and then they want to have the money and the job and all the things in check before they return? Or
No, not necessarily. They've just got to be in that right mindset. So, and obviously everything else follows because it will be where they're meant to be.
and then why do you think some divine masculines are so distorted and toxic in separation and
Mm.
so sabotaging?
I think if you think about it, where you were back before you started your spiritual work, you get everything out your system, and I think that's what they've got to go through too. And this is why you've got to completely take the focus off them and just really bring that focus back to you.
And some divine
Because
feminines say that, oh, if he knows that I'm the one and he feels
mm,
that, why is he being silly?
because it's not them being silly, but at the same time, they've got to heal as well. It's took us a long time to get to where we are. And I know that it takes a lot less for them because they do speed up to where we are. So, but they've got to learn that that isn't for them. So, unless they try it, they're not going to know, are they?
So don't they realize straight away that this divine feminine's for me, so then I should just be better, but or they just confused?
They, obviously, I can't say for other counterparts, but majority, I'd say, well, they do know, but they're like, go and find out if it is right or not. They've got there, and they're not going to know unless they go and do something, and they'll go, actually, I can't get this person off my mind. But even though I'm doing all of this, I'm thinking that this is my regular thing that I used to enjoy doing.
So they're trying to trial and test whether it's true.
Yeah.
And then, so with your divine masculine, how are things now? Because you said that they do their inner work when they return. So do you help them with that, or what inner work do they do?
Yeah, so we do meditation together, and he's on his own journey, which he's got to find his own way as well. So he'll go for some healing. It's been sort of going along to see one of my healers. I go and see Bonnie. So and he's like doing a bit of his own research, meditation as well.
So are they open to that? Because some divine masculines, they say, are never spiritual, and they like learn through, playing sports or going for a run, or I don't know,
Mm.
playing games or doing whatever they do, like in the
Mm.
physical. But well, what's your perception about how they heal?
Obviously, we've all got different ways, haven't we? But I can only sort of plant a seed and say, this is what helped me. You can't force them to do anything. And obviously, I've mentioned different sorts of avenues
Yeah.
to go down, and then they'll go, actually, I wouldn't mind trying that. And they've got free will as well, haven't they?
And then, yeah, let's talk about free will quickly.
Yeah.
Free will versus, I call it divine will. Do you
Mhm.
believe that every twin flame will come into union, or how does it?
That's a bit of, yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of. I like Regida's teachings as well, to be honest. I think she's amazing. And I do feel a lot of the third wavers, like she's mentioned as well, are going to come into union this year. I do believe that, definitely. But once we've done that our work and paved the way, then
So you have to do your inner work.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
we talked about like your abilities. Does it? And you talked about divine masculine. So did your divine masculine become psychic as well, or like how did that work with his abilities?
I've noticed his intuition starting to increase. Yeah. So he's starting to sort of feel things, and I go, I'm getting, or he'll have a feeling that something isn't right.
And do they get to the same level as us then, or they're always going to be a little bit behind?
No, they do catch up with us quite quick. So, with him, it's like I said, I started my awakening quite a while ago. So he's like, well, I'd say it's towards like the end, like where I am, sort of
Okay.
was. Yeah, yeah.
So quite fast. And
Yeah.
what any like sort of advice and tips before we do a little collective tarot
Yeah.
reading? Any advice or tips for people, because you're doing it really well, and I do speak to you quite regularly, and I'm like so
Mhm.
impressed because you're kind of smashing it out of the park here. So can you give us any sort of tips?
Yeah, all I can say is obviously just really focus on yourself, and that's the main thing. You've got to just remember that they are you, so you've got to hold on to that thought, and also really just focus on what's triggering you. Go into what it is, go back to your childhood to find out when it first sort of started to really relive it. And what helped me as well was a lot of subliminals, which I've mentioned to you as well. So just to let go and detach, and sort of just really be where you need to be. Put yourself first, and like this journey is about our spiritual awakening, isn't it?
Thank
So
you. So
mm.
Hailey, shall we do a collective tarot reading
Yeah,
about
Have a
Whatever
look.
you want, whatever. What do you think? Like where the divine masculines are at right now? Shall we do one of
Yeah,
those or?
yeah, and that's what I want to see as a collective. So whoever this reading does find it, obviously for theirs, but I want to sort of see where they are at the moment. So let's have a look, shall we? Okay, what's this collective need to know, please? What does this collective need to know? So I've got a laptop keyboard in front of me, so it's a bit like all over the place. Okay. Okay, so a lot of them are still wearing a mask at the moment, and they are sort of hiding their true feelings. Yeah, so a lot of them are, they are coming into sort of coming out of their heads as well, because a
Okay.
lot of them have been there, so they're starting to become more present and in the now. But for these ones, there is the chemistry is still quite there as well. They haven't been forgotten about or left behind, because they are thinking about. Yeah, so there is going to be a lot of unions, and this is by the winter time. So there is the closing of like old cycles as well. So they are coming to close all those off and start understanding a lot more about what's going on. Okay, yeah, they're starting to find their life purpose here as well. But there have been like a lot of them, believe it or not, they do check up as well on what you're up to. And I feel a lot of this collective are doing that to see if it's right to come in or not, see what if they can find out what they're up to.
So they're sensing the energies.
Yeah. So they are trying to see whether it's right or not to come in. Like I said, even with mine, you didn't know whether I'd met somebody, so that they don't want to come in and step on toes either. Okay. So yeah, and there is going to there's a lot more growth during this summer. So a lot of them are coming through those bad periods of the awakenings. Yeah.
And earlier you said that you messaged your divine masculine. Some people say don't message, don't do this, don't do that. But if you have no expectations and you're inspired, then you should, right? Like it's a loving message is good.
Yeah, yeah, and there's absolutely no harm at all in whatsoever in doing that. But you've got to not be in that place of want or need or have any expectations, like you said.
Do you have any like closing message, any inspiration, anything that you want to say?
I'd say just really trust in everything that you're feeling, definitely, and just keep on working. And because, like it is, we are like an onion. We've got to keep healing. We think we've healed, but we haven't.
What
And we'll
about
always.
what about like the faith and the trust that a lot of them lack out there?
Yeah, this is what I was going to say. If you know yourself that this is your twin, and you know truly that they are going to come back, just keep that faith and keep that trust, because they are. And it's and let it. Then once you've got that trust and faith, you can actually let go and just detach, like you would with any sort of manifestations. You just let it go and let the divine take its toll and let them do the work behind the scenes to whatever's got to be done.
Which is easier said than done, but you do get
It
better at it.
is. It is. You do get better. Yeah, definitely.
So thank you, Hailey. So we can find you on TikTok at Twin Soul Connection. And
Yes.
it's so nice to see twin flames that are in union, that are
Yeah.
pioneering the way and showing, because sometimes I get comments that, oh, do we ever get into, I've never seen anyone in union before. And I have now interviewed quite a few couples in union already. And I also talked to quite a few couples who are in union, who don't want to come on social media. So I want everyone to know, like, for talking to you today, that this is the goal. You get there.
Of course you do. You do. And I feel, like, I know there's a lot of emphasis on twin flames, but just like sort of, you've got to just remember this is your own spiritual journey. and just keep focusing on that. That's, that's the main thing. It's about your own inner healing first.
Thank you, Hailey, so much
Okay.
for today and giving us a
You're
reading.
welcome.
It's really
You're
nice to
welcome.
even just feel the energy of union.
Yeah, and it is lovely, and it's coming for most, definitely.
Thank you.
Okay.